From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production, the NFL Bet Exchange, hosted by my man, Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod himself, Mr. Jeff Dawson, and we are here for the NFL Bet Exchange. This is week 7 of the league, and man, we are just moving along, moving and grooving, and we're still at what I would say the quarter pole of the season, man. We just broke out the starting gate. So anybody thinking that somebody's season's over at this point, it's not technically over yet, but some teams are pretty much getting ready to start looking at who they're going to be drafting in April. And some teams are in the point right now to where, hey, there's just some proper adjustments that they need to make. They're looking at their schedule and they say, maybe we can go make a run at this thing. It's all types of different mentalities going on here in the NFL right now. But one thing I will say is I don't think there's anybody that's really into losing every single week, and I'll just be the first to attest to that. But Jeff, how was everything with you this weekend? Did your clients do well? Did you do well? How did everything go?
Yeah, we had a 1-1 split on Friday. We had Stanford first half, and I went to bed when they were down 29-0, and I wake up and they won in double overtime. But we went 4-0 on Saturday, and one of our dogs of the day Sunday came in on our action parlay. That was the Jets. Did leave the Browns on the desk at 1. I tried to chase the Colts, but overall we had a good week, another week of profit, another envelope Monday. As for teams and seasons over, the team about 45 minutes from where I am right now, the New England Patriots at 1-5 this season is over. Now it's the chase for Cunningham or May, or they'll end up winning 2 or 3 more games and then get stuck in the middle and maybe look for a Penix Jr. or someone like that, because Mac is not the answer.
Well, yeah, I would have to say if anybody's season's over right now, it's the Patriots, because this is a hole that Bill Belichick's not getting himself out of. I just know it's not. It's just this isn't Bill's type of group. This isn't Bill's type of team. And you know what? The writing's really on the wall. I think that they need to make a whole structural change of the team. I love Bill Belichick, but I think that coaches that are in their 70s right now, they need to worry about the grandchildren and the children. And I think that coaches that have had 20 years of pure success, of nothing but success, when the losing starts, it gets really bad. You know what I mean? Because we're so used to winning. And when you start losing the way that you're losing, we don't want to see you go out being that bad of a loser. They had to save Tom Landry from himself. And I think that Bill Belichick has entered his Tom Landry phase of his coaching career, where people really want to tell you to back off and be done with it, but they're too scared to, because your success and who you are as a person, they know that you live to be an NFL football coach. So, it is what it is. Decisions have to be made. Tough decisions have to be made in Foxborough.
Oh, no doubt. And again, it will be interesting to see which direction they go. I don't think they bring him back, obviously, to pass Schuler, because it's almost looking at a Schuler or a Landry in their final couple of years. They've already kind of whispered in Mayo's ear that he's the next predecessor. Now, whether he keeps O'Brien or whatever will be interesting. They do have a quarterback-friendly contract with Mac Jones. So in other words, they could draft a quarterback and say, hey, Mac, we're going to put you in for your 4th year. We're going to make you a lame duck. We're not going to pick up the 5th-year option. And so just see what you got. You're kind of previewing for the free agent market after this year, whether it's a Penix or someone of that ilk. But it's very disappointing. Another game that they started out losing early. Their first quarter, if you were just betting against the Patriots every first quarter, you'd be undefeated right now. So sad situation in Patriotville. But, that's what happens when you're spoiled for not 1, but 2 decades. You get spoiled. Bill made a decision that it was Garoppolo to take Tom's spot, and then Mr. Kraft said, no, we're keeping Brady. And then at the final stand, it was, we're drafting a quarterback, and that quarterback is replacing Tom. And Tom went out and got a championship. So the rest is history, Pops.
Yep, and it is what it is at the end of the day, man. And pretty much their 20 years of winning is absolutely amazing. And you know what? It's the final lap, and it is what it is, man. But this is what happens after the party's over. You know what I mean? You got to clean it. You got to clean the mess up, and it's messy in Foxborough at this point. All right, so here we are, week six results. I went 7-8, so that was much better than I did week 5. So now I'm 43-50 on the year. Jeff, I had to correct him. He was actually 6-8 last week, so it made his record actually 40-40, not 39-41. So pretty much what happens is that I corrected this, and now Jeff is back in the over 500 club, going 8-6-1 last week, and pretty much kudos to him for picking very well. I think that I picked very well until we got to the last 2 games, and it is what it is at the end of the day. That's what happens when you pick minus 14s that you never pick ever. And I had a bet. I knew I had a better chance with the Dolphins covering their 14 than the damn Bills in a all New York game. Like, come on, dude. Like, you got to think, man. Got to think with your head. And it was on NBC too, the same network that they played the Super Bowl on. So, it was going to be a crazy game. It was going to be a crazy game, regardless of anything. So let's go ahead, jump into our first game, which is going to be the Thursday night football game. That's going to be the Jaguars, who are 4-2. We got the Saints, who are 3-3. We got the over-under of 39. Seems like we're getting a little bit lower on the unders this week. The under did go I think it was 12-2-1, Jeff, this week on the unders this week for the NFL. So literally, and guess what? The 2 over games were in the same state. Go ahead and guess who that was.
Was it Miami, Florida?
Miami's one of them.
Yeah,
and the other
Jacksonville. Yeah.
So it was only the only games that Florida went over. Everybody else was under. That's absolutely incredible. And another stat before we start dig into this one that I thought was fun was this. And Derek Carr was one of these guys too. There were 5 quarterbacks that threw for over 300 yards. Only one of them won. One. That's one guy won. There were 9 quarterbacks that threw for under 200 yards. And they went 8-1, Jeff. So that's just absolutely just nuts. You know what I mean? That's just a crazy, crazy stat in itself right there. So I just had to throw that out there to you. But this game right here, you have a Jaguars team, red hot, winners of 3 in a row. They went to London. They fixed everything up that they needed to fix. And pretty much they were able to win those 2 games in a row, get themselves 3-2 back at home. Then they go ahead and they win a very important division game against a very hot. We can say they were a little hot coming in, right? The Colts. I think
sure.
They were 3-2 coming in. I think that they were on somewhat of a win streak as well too. I think they had 1-2 in a row coming in, and they got a good win the week before, and they were looking to get another good win and try to get 3-0 in the division. That's one thing that the Colts have done well. They played the division very well, but you know what? The Jaguars didn't let the London hangover get to them, and they pretty much played some very disciplined football. Found themselves one of the big blowout winners of Sunday, winning 37-20. So pretty much they had themselves a pretty good game. Trevor Lawrence is continuing a nice run as well too. I put him on my MVP list as well for this year, even though we did have those 2 little games where he didn't do that well. But in every game that he has done well in, the Jaguars have performed on a high level, and that's exactly what you expect of your quarterback. And I think that can allow a guy to be a part of the MVP race as well too. Now, New Orleans, on the other hand, New Orleans falls into the category of having a guy who threw for over 300 yards, and you still wind up losing the game. Derek Carr threw for 307 yards, and was 32 for 50, Jeff. No touchdowns in that game, and winds up only getting out 13 points for this. He put way too much pressure on the defense. They weren't able to execute in the red zone. They weren't able to get big plays done in the red zone as well, too. This is something that has been a problem all season for the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints have been very good at playing a very aggressive defense. And if the defense scores a touchdown for them, it's actually a helpful thing for this team, because it seems that Derek Carr can only muster about 17 points a game for these guys, and he has some very gaudy stats when you look at it as well too. It's just how do we fix this situation? Dennis Allen has already said that it comes down to coaching, execution, and play calling. Well, it's been 6 straight weeks of this. When are you guys going to fix it? Only week they had that was good was against the Patriots, and the Patriots pretty much quit in the first 5 minutes of that game. So, what are we doing here? That's the biggest question that I have for the Saints. But in a game like this one, when you break it on down, they're on 3 days of rest. I truly do feel what happens here is that you have a team in the Saints that need a bounce back game. And where else can you bounce back at but at home? The Jaguars are going to come into this game. They probably, when you look at it, they didn't play the type of competition that you can tell yourself that you can really put your hat on. You know what I mean? The Falcons are an average team, and we know the Colts are an average team, but beating the Bills was pretty huge. But I feel like, can they sustain this winning formula coming into this game? And then you have a Saints team that's ready to show that they're a lot better than what they truly are. They'll have a better offensive game because they only have so many days to prepare for the game. So that's where I feel the Saints will do well, because they'll be on national television. And so I'm going to go ahead and take them with the minus 155 money line for this game. Jeff, what are your thoughts, and who do you have winning this game?
We were talking backstage, and it was kind of comical. I was sitting here with a couple of people on Sunday and YouTube TV watching 3 games in the red zone, then 3 games, yada, yada, yada. And every time the Saints came on, I was sitting there cursing, because I have Olave, of course, in a couple spots. Derek Carr, I've never seen an NFL quarterback check down more than Derek Carr. It's just absolutely mind-boggling. And I was trying to think of a former NFL quarterback that he got late in his career and he couldn't throw the ball over 20 yards unless it was a hook and lateral, and I couldn't even come up with that answer. And then at the end of the day, I saw he threw for 330 yards. A couple of weeks ago, the return of Alvin Kamara, 13 catches for 33 yards. Think about that for a second. That is almost physically impossible. But this is what he's doing. Would have been on the Jags on a short week. They are on a roll. Hats off to them, not only winning 2 weeks in a row in London, but coming home against, I want to say, a feisty Colts team, the return of Jonathan Taylor. Unfortunately, Gardner and Magical Minshew, was just pixie dust. You knew in the first quarter that was over. He threw 3, 4, 5 picks. It was disgusting. But I'm a numbers. I read the market pops. And my sheet had Jacksonville -1 with a 40.5. It is now the Saints -3 with a 39 or 38.5. I was born at night, not last night. It clearly tells me one thing. Trevor Lawrence is not playing. He dinged up his knee late in that game. So don't expect Trevor Lawrence. That's why the Saints have gone to 3. This has got Saints 21-17 written all over it. I followed your lead. I also, too, took the Saints money line.
And I would suggest to all bettors today, if you're watching this live, you should go jump on the Saints now, because they're probably going to be a -180, -190 by the time they confirm the news that Jeff is giving you right now, pretty much. Because the thing is, we know that the Jaguars can afford to have Trevor Lawrence sit out a game like this. You can trust your backup against a team like the Saints, who aren't scoring a lot of points. So that's where you kind of can do the math on that situation. Now, if this was a game where the Saints were more of a high-end team right now, it would be something that would be, something possibly that he would probably be doing everything it takes to get on the field for that. I know he's going to do everything it takes to get on the field for this game, but they get a little bit more cautious when they know that they're playing against a winner in a game where their backup can win that game. And the Saints have proven that a backup can beat them this year, even though they have one of the better defenses in the NFL. It's because the offense is so inept. That's the biggest reason why. So we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into this AFC East matchup. The Bills are 4-2. The Pats are 1-5. The Pats coming in here probably with the highest spread at home since the 1990s, possibly. You know what I mean? They haven't had a spread this high since probably 91, 90 at home. You know what I mean? And pretty much plus 8.5 to the Patriots. A few years ago, that would have been like a dream. But now, it's just like we understand that's the market now. So pretty much with the Bills and the Pats, you have a Bills team that had to play patty cake with the Giants, but it was a physical, hard game with the Giants. It wasn't like they just went in there and could just dominate the Giants. The Giants played with the purpose. The Giants played like a team that that are still trying to salvage their season. Their best player was back, so they played with the energy that was a little different. And then they had a quarterback that gave them a better chance to win that type of game. Even though I think Daniel Jones, in all honesty, probably would have won that game for him. The way with having Saquon back in the fold and things like that. But as I told Jeff before we started the show, and we'll get to it when we talk about the Giants because they're going to be up next. But so I'll just save it for that. So pretty much back to the Bills. The Bills, to me, they got to figure out how they can get themselves a running game. They got to get more touches to Latavius Murray. I think Latavius Murray is an absolute gem for a lot of teams. He showed that on Sunday that he can get these small yards for you real quick, but he's a good goal line option as well too. So I truly do think the Bills, they have this attitude about them where they have to beat down the Patriots. They owe the Patriots for 20 years of fertility, pretty much. You know what I mean? And, if you're a Buffalo fan, you get a little jealous, Jeff. You know that because you went to 4 Super Bowls. You used to be the Patriots of the AFC East. You dominated everybody for a decade too, but you have no Super Bowls to show for it. Then this team from Boston comes over and gets this little innovative owner, and he gets Belichick and Parcells, and next thing you know, they got 6 rings. So, there's a lot of animosity if you're a Buffalo fan. I understand that. And Buffalo really does take this game seriously. So I don't like the 8 on a road team. I know that this is really not smart, but this week, when you're dealing with a team like the Patriots who pretty much quit, and I can't believe a Bill Belichick team has quit. Bill Belichick has produced some of the most disciplined teams we've ever seen in sports. And to drop this low on the totem pole, it's just really bad, man. So I don't need to talk about this more longer because there's not much to talk about with this game. The Pats are a bad team right now, and they're not getting any better. The Bills had pretty much a hangover week because, they came from London. They didn't take their opponents as seriously as they should have. They're not going to make that mistake this week. They're going to beat the Patriots by 30 points. I'm calling it now. There you go. 8.5 to the Bills, and I'm going to play them on an 11.5 adjusted line as well too. Jeff, how about that? So I get my plus 175 off this game as well too. So where are you going with this one?
Short, sweet, to the point. Bought the hook down at Bills -8. Anyone watching and listening live, go in, play the Bills first quarter, play the Bills first half. Patriots offense has been anemic in the first half. I just was looking at one of the notes. Bill O'Brien came out and says, expects Mac to start, but don't expect them in that long. Look for some Malik Cunninghams. This team's going nowhere. There was last week, The Browns were a live dog. Last week, the Jets were a live dog. There's a difference of home teams getting 5, 6, 7, 8 and being live versus the Patriots aren't live versus Barnstable High School at this point. There's no heart. There's no one grabbing. You know what? Right there, and no one is accountable. And when you start the game with false starts, when you start the game with foolish penalties, Bill has lost a lot off the fastball, and it's kind of sad as we talk backstage. Bill, thank you so much for the 2 decades. Without you, without Tom, there'd be no, Gillette, Foxborough Stadium, an experience like they have there. Get ready to go upstairs or enjoy your back 9 or your final 3, 4, 5 holes, whatever you got left. It doesn't start on Sunday. Bills -8, Bills first quarter, Bills first half, however you want to play them.
And you know what? The funniest thing about Belichick is even if they do get rid of him at the end of the year, Belichick's still going to get a phone call from another team. Just think about that. And it's going to be it'll be in the same essence of what old coach that they gave a job to after he was done where he was at. I'm trying to think. Well, we ain't got too much time to think, so we'll figure it out at some point. But I'm just trying to be like, no, I can't compare it to Jimmy Johnson. I definitely can't do that. But we move forward, and let's talk about the Commanders, 3-3, the Giants 1-5. We just got done speaking about the Giants, and we're about to talk about. I was about to get into the Giants, but I had to stop myself because we're talking about Bills and Patriots. So I think that the Giants really do have a lot of good things going on with that offense. Okay, but they just haven't found what works. And I think pretty much with having Saquon back, you can open things up a little bit better. I truly do feel Jalen Hyatt has to be more inserted into your game plan. He's wearing a special number 13. He made a great catch on Sunday Night Football, and I said, uh-oh, good thing that they didn't go too crazy about this one because you know what? This guy, he might be better than Beckham. And I know this sounds crazy right now with me saying that, but he just might be. The guy scored 5 touchdowns against Alabama. When did Beckham ever do that? So I think that they really need to do more. They need to stop worrying about trying to get the guy 40, 50-yard bombs as catches, and they need to do more slants, more digs, more curls, more to get him involved in the offense so then they can start making things a little bit more creative in that group as well, too. The Giants have an offense that can be a great offense, but it all starts with your line, and their offensive line is just absolutely just in shambles at this point. They're doing makeshift stuff. They got guys coming. They had a guy that said straight off the couch when he said, on Sunday Night Football, Jeff, you say your name, you say your school or something silly, and this guy said, I'm so-and-so and so-and-so, straight off the couch. And I thought that was probably the funniest thing I've ever heard on on national television during the game. So the Giants got guys fresh off the couch, like literally guys fresh off the couch. So the Giants, their defense had their best game of the season. Their defense has been struggling all year long. They've been bad. They've been really bad. But this, for some odd reason, their defense played with the aggression that we hadn't seen all season long. They knew that they had to step up their game because they have to start showing us something before, it starts being who you guys drafted in the top 10. And I think that the Giants are still a team that knows that the NFC is not that good of a conference. So they still have an opportunity. And I know it sounds crazy today, Jeff, but they still got an opportunity to sneak in to that final spot if they can start winning some football games at this point. Because I think you can be 8-9 and get that final spot in the NFC this year. That's how bad the conference truly is compared to what's going on in the AFC. So when you break down this game, you see a team in the Commanders that are, day and night. 1 week they're an awesome team. Another week, they're just a team that looks like they're drafting in the top 5. They're trying to figure some things out. Sam Howell is not the answer for this team. Let's just keep it real. He's not your guy. He's a good good stopgap quarterback for what you got going on right now, but he's just not consistent enough. It's funny. He has 7 interceptions on the year right now. Nobody's bringing it up because they're not a relevant team. And that's the only reason why he's getting a scapegoat for that. But the Commanders had their best game of the season, in my opinion, over in all 3 phases of the game on Sunday against the Falcons. They played really good football. They didn't need that much offense to win the game. Their defense forced turnovers. Their special teams was huge as well too, and they figured out a way to win this game. So the Commanders, that's what makes them really good. They figure out ways to win games. That's why this is going to be still a tough game for the Giants, but this is a very winnable game for the Giants as well too. So since we're in that area, I feel like Saquon's going to have himself a big game come Sunday because he always has big games against the Commanders. And I would say this. Jeff is smart enough to have Jalen Hyatt on all of his fantasy teams. So I know he's going to be starting him because you know what? He's about to have a career day because everybody has been feasting on the Commanders secondary, who's the top receiver in this league. Even my man Drake London, who helped me get that win on Sunday as well, too. So with that, we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to take the Giants with the plus 105. And I think the Giants take care of business over at MetLife, get themselves their second win of the season. So, Jeff, what are your thoughts, and who do you have winning this game?
See, you're the smart man. I'm going to take the cheese here. I personally like Sam Howell. I'm not saying he's the next coming to Doug Williams or Joe Theismann or anything like that, but he can make all the throws. You have a stud wide receiver with Terry McLaurin. You have Logan Thomas. You have a running back duo of Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson. The one wide receiver that hasn't shown up this year has been Jahan Dawson, which I am shocked I was wrong on him. There's still some time to go for him to get a bounce back second half. And also Curtis Samuel very quietly has chipped in immensely. He's got a handful of touchdowns, getting that 3, 4, 5 catches a game. I don't know if Daniel Jones is going to play. A neck injury, you don't know how, especially, a quarterback taking all those hits, if he'll play, if he's not. The return of Barkley. I think you're on the right side, but I'm going to go with the favorite here. I just took the money line, win, baby, win. My number here initially was Washington -1 with a 41.5. It's now 2 with a 39.5 in some spots. There is a 40 at South Point. I'll just be short and sweet. This is your classic 21-20 late second field goal by the Commanders in a walk-off fashion.
All right. Perfect. We have another divisional game here, Falcons Bucs. This one should be another really, really good game. And I think that, you got a Falcons team that I think we figured out who they are. If they can run, they can beat you. If they can't, if they got to have Desmond Ridder beat you, it's not going to happen. Desmond Ridder threw for over 300 yards and still only supplied 16 points for this team and had 3 interceptions, got sacked 3 times. He had 2 touchdowns, some good production. But it's like when a point guard scores over 40 and he's a passing point guard, Jeff, you know what I mean? And that means my point guard scored way too many points. And since he scored way too many points, we're not going to win this game because he had to do too much. I much rather have him facilitate, manage the team, manage what's going on over here. And, pretty much that's exactly what happened to the Falcons on Sunday. They outgained the Commanders. They did a great job, but they did it in a fashion that they're not used to. They're used to beating you with the run game, and they weren't able to do that on Sunday. So pretty much what happens is that Desmond Ridder has to do a lot of things that he's not used to doing. And Bijan Robinson, when you can hold him to 43 yards on the ground, that's a problem, Jeff. And he got 14 touches as well, too. But he got his catches and he got his yards through that. But you got to get more Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson has to have that ball 60 to 70% of the time for your team to really, really be good. Or you have to throw him in there as a decoy on some things. We figured out that when Bijan has a big game, they have a big game. And when Bijan has an average game or whatever game, they have an average or whatever game that usually results in a loss. So the Falcons need to figure out how they're going to implement more Bijan into the lineup and not ask Desmond Ridder to overdo it, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Desmond Ridder is a good game manager, but you're not asking him to be Peyton Manning. You're not asking him to be Phillip Rivers. You're not asking him to be Tom Brady. You're asking him to be more like Brad Johnson, more like Trent Dilfer. These guys who were able to play with teams that were great at running the ball. And that's exactly what the Falcons are based on. He has to be a deceptive passer, and he's not a deceptive passer. That's the biggest problem. I think that he needs to be just breathe a little bit more, and they should be, better this week. But I just think that this is a matchup where the Bucs will make the adjustments that they need to make, because the Bucs, let's be honest, they've been bad their last two games, but they played against the top two teams in the NFC. And to piggyback off your point, and you know what, I'm gonna save it to when we get to the Lions. I'm sorry, but when you look at the Bucs, who they played the last 2 weeks, they played far better than the Falcons did. Okay, let's just be honest here. All right, the Falcons played in two games where they could have lost, and one they did. Okay, and the Bucs really do need somewhat of a breather this week, because you have the Eagles on Monday Night Football. Then you have the jump start, the new wave Lions. We ain't your old Lions no more. You know what I mean? And Jeff, I know that I don't know if I told you this or Sunday, if I talked to you this week, I can't remember. But why did it look like a 1989 CBS game, the Detroit Bucs game? And it played out like one too, because the Bucs would just sit there and get whooped on an afternoon game by the Lions the same exact way. And the Bucs used to be that exact team, scoring no touchdowns, kicking a whole bunch of field goals, losing by 14. That's the team I remember in the orange jerseys, brother. That's definitely the team I remember. So that was damn near, that wasn't almost a flash, that was damn near a time machine moment. So all in all, the Bucs should be better this week, because they're not going to be wearing them orange jerseys this week. They were beautiful, but we know that that's mediocrity for this team, and they got to get back to the basics. So hopefully they go all white this week and beat up on the Falcons, a team that they've had their number for the last 5 years or so, it seems like. So pretty much they should be able to get this one home, even though Tom Brady had a perfect record against the Falcons. And, Bakers has done well against them in the past in his other places as well, too. But I truly do feel that what happens here is that the Bucs get themselves a good win, because they have a better defense, and they have the type of defense that can shut down what the Falcons are doing. The Falcons have showed us that if the run game's not going, they're not going to score many points. But this team hasn't even dropped 30 points on the season yet. So, this really feeds into the Bucs' ego a little bit of a gimme game, in a sense, even though the line says that it's a 50-50 shot, because, the NFC South is very unpredictable. But I still think the Bucs have way too much for them coming here, and it's a Bucs home game. They got to make sure that they don't get swept out at home. This would be 3 losses in a row at home, and I know they don't want to. I know they don't want that to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and take them with the 2.5. Jeff, your thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't see Doug Williams out there, Vinny Testaverde, Eric Rett, Mike Allstott, but I love the uniforms, like the Patriots and the Pat Patriot. We'll get into the Lions. There's a reason why the Bucs have lost 2 in a row. I mean, Eagles and Lions back to back there. But again, my true numbers here was 2.5 with the 40, down to 2.5 with the 38.5. I bought the hook, took the Bucs -2. If you want to just play the money line, you can go ahead and do that as well. I like the Bucs in this spot. I think they'll be able to slow the run game down, keep Robinson in check, and then again not allow Drake London, or Pitt scored last week, so maybe he's starting to get more into the fold or not. But give me the Bucs to stop the bleeding. Look for at least a field goal win, 38.5. I'll go back to the 21-17 Pops Bucs.
All right. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take our first commercial break, and when we get back, we're gonna jump into some more late games as well too. So you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange with your host, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod himself, Mr. Jeff Dawson, and we'll be right back.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we're back with the NFL Bet Exchange with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson. And let's go ahead and jump into our first game of the late slate. In the late slate, we have ourselves the Raiders and the Bears, and the Raiders coming here 3-3. On a 2-game winning streak of all things as well too. Right after losing 3 games in a row, 2-game winning streak for the Raiders. And then the lowly Bears, it just gets worse by the week for the Bears. The Bears had their shining moment. Their quarterback was able to shut up the haters for a game, and boom, he hurts his thumb. Now we're back to being mad at the Bears. But once again, the Bears lost by 6 points. They treated the Bears like they lost by 30, Jeff. I just didn't get that part. You know, fans are so, and these internet people are just so – just you guys are so just dramatic about everything. They lost by 6 points. The Bears have only been blown out one time really this year. Let's keep it real. Okay. The Bears could easily be 3-3 as well too. And that's why I say you're not getting rid of Justin. You're just not getting rid of Justin Fields. Why? Why would you go get another quarterback 3 years later, knowing that you're the way that you guys call plays is not conducive to any quarterback being successful? So why don't you just stick with Justin Fields, the guy that is already there? You know what I mean? And just get rid of this sorry ass coach. That's it. You know what I mean? But we'll see how it goes. But the Bears have a good. This is a tricky game, Mr. Dawson. And I'm gonna let you go ahead and kick it off. Tell us, who do you have winning this one, and who do you? What do you think? What do you think of this one? And who you got winning?
Well, Justin actually had 2 good weeks offensively. They were able to get the 1 win, obviously, in Washington. Unfortunately, you could see right away that Minnesota's front 7 was going to put pressure on Justin. Got out of the gate slow, battled back, and then dislocates the thumb. Week to week, going to wait till the swelling goes down to see if and when he can grip a ball. And if it doesn't go down sooner than later, could actually have surgery. And then Jimmy G, first or second quarter, heads to the locker room, and then to the an ambulance, and then to the hospital to check on his back. Could have 2 backup quarterbacks. Vegas seems to think that, well, even if you have 2 backup quarterbacks or Jimmy G plays, I had a Raiders -3 with a 40.5. Currently 3 with a 37.5. I bought the hook. I took the Bears plus the 3.5. This has everything of the making of a 2017 Carlson walk-off field goal here. Hopefully, if the Bears lose, they keep it within a field goal, Pops.
All right, so Jeff has the Bears 3.5 plus 3.5 here, and he has the Bears plus 3.5 here. And pretty much what's happening is that he has a very, very you got a very good look on this thing. And my thing is like this: the Raiders are going to be an overbet here because Justin Fields isn't going to be here, but the Chicago Bears backup somewhat kept them in the game, even though Justin went out. So I truly do feel that when you look at this game and the way it sets up, and that the Raiders are vulnerable to any team in the NFL, the Raiders are not a team that's going to blow you out. Let's just keep it real. It's just not in them to do that. What they're going to do is they're going to have an ugly game with you. And if you win, cool. If they win, cool. It doesn't matter. We're both mediocre. So at the end of the day, I'm taking the Bears because the Bears are easier to trust in this game. And that's crazy because the Bears don't even have their starting quarterback. But are the Raiders going to have their starting quarterback? That's my biggest question. Because if Hoyer goes in there as the starter, this is going to put them. And you know this, Jeff. Because at the end of the day, how you going to trust Brian Hoyer to win you a game? This isn't 7 years ago when he had a point to prove in Cleveland. This is who he is now, a guy who's been in the league for 15 years almost as a backup for a reason. So, it is what it is, plus 3.5 to the Bears. And it's just because how successful the Bears are against the Raiders in Chicago. The Raiders haven't won in Chicago since the 90s. I know this for a fact. So, because I was watching the last time the Raiders won in the 90s. It was a CBS game. I'm not a CBS game. It was an NBC game. Jeff Jager hit a 58-yard field goal at Soldier Field. And this is when Soldier still had the turf as well, too. Good memory, huh, Jeff?
Yes, it is.
I'll be 40, and you see it, and I talk like somebody who's 60, but I'll be 40 in April. So, it is what it is. But Browns, Colts, and you have Browns 3-2, Colts 3-3. This game is probably one of the best under the radar games that you can get. It's no star power here. Let's keep it real. The star of the game is Jonathan Taylor, right? But Jeff, you know how if you're a TV producer or a marketing person and you're trying to sell a game, to sponsors, this one is the game that's the hardest to sell because you don't have a superstar to really, maximize here in this one because your superstars are hurt. Deshaun Watson is still a day-to-day situation. I'm thinking that they're going to do everything possible to get Deshaun on the field Sunday, but they're going to figure out. But it'll come down to how he looks in the warm-up, and I think that they're probably going to wait another week before they bring Deshaun Watson back out because they can afford to not have him again this week. So I think you don't force that situation with him, and you figure out a way to where you can possibly get DTR put back into the situation as well too, and maybe split plays and things like that, or split series with PJ Walker because I want to see more of DTR. We know who PJ Walker is. PJ Walker was a big reason why they were able to win that game. You needed to have a veteran to throw in a different type of look, a different type of aspect to that game. But this week, I feel like this is more of a game where you can afford to have DTR out there with you, and he can actually kind of do the same thing that Anthony Richardson was doing for the Colts for the Browns this week. So that should be the option that they're looking at. But I think that their biggest thing is to get Watson ready for Sunday. I think they know this is the type of game where Watson can come back in and he doesn't have to do too much, as they work him back into the lineup. But they want to make sure he's 100%. They want to make sure there's nothing impeding him coming into this game. Now, when it comes down to who has the better defense, of course, it's the Browns, the number one defense in the league. And this defense is good enough to the point to where they can actually win this game 9-0, Jeff, 9-3. They only had to score any touchdowns to win this game. That's how good the defense has been. They just need to figure out ways to score points. That's it. And I think that the Colts have an innovative situation going, but it's only with Anthony Richardson. Gardner Minshew is a shell of whoever he was when he was losing in Jacksonville, but winning fantasy championships, I guess, because everybody has this Minshew mania thing. But I was like, when did they go to the playoffs during that point when he was in Jacksonville? Never. So, pretty much he's just been a high stat quarterback. That doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. And we've been seeing, Jeff, high stat quarterbacks not be successful at all these last few weeks. So when it comes down to this game, I feel like this is going to be the Browns' best defensive effort. And it probably would be better than what they did against Tennessee a few weeks back. So I like the Browns in this, Jeff. I think that they don't need to score more than 17 points to win this game. They just need 17 points. They can win it. So your thoughts and who do you have winning the game?
I have a 2 with a 39, which obviously isn't a Deshaun Watson number. At circa right now, 1.5 with a 39. I should be following your lead, obviously. It's a perfect spot for that, for the Browns here. What I'm afraid of is, again, no Watson. PJ Walker played a great game against 49ers. If you were on the Colts last week, it's almost one of these, you got to go back on the Colts again this week, or the same with the Browns. But I think it's a perfect letdown spot for the Browns, believe it or not. It should be a game, though, that they use to piggyback and propel them to keep winning until Watson does come back. I think everyone got starstruck when the 49ers came into town versus the Browns. This was a Browns team that was pissed off that Watson wasn't playing, has been medically cleared, bye week to get ready, and quote unquote, he can't play. So the defense took it upon themselves, says, don't worry, we'll take care of this. And I think if Minshew plays like he did last week, the Browns roll here by double digits. I went contrarian here, Pops. I took the Colts +2 for no reason whatsoever. Peyton Manning isn't coming through that building. Marshall Faulk isn't coming through that building. But it's the crazy play right now. Give me the Colts +2 and pray.
Well, hey, Jeff, you know why? I know why you're taking them, Jeff. It's easy to see why you're taking them. They're going to be at home. And this is the type of game that favors a home team because it's really, you don't know who's going to win the game. It's a 50-50 game. So if you want to be smart about it, you usually just take the home team because the home team's going to be a dog as well, too, a little slight dog as well. Why not? You know what I mean? Seriously, because I always feel like you're in good hands when you have a home doggy dog. You're always kind of pressing it a little bit with the road guy, you know what I mean? But at home, you always have the luxuries, you know what I mean? And that's one thing that the Colts do have. They kind of play outer body at home, and I know that's what you're looking at as well, too. That's exactly what the Browns did Sunday against the 49ers. So,
I want to add this, too. I read this, and you know what? As much as I like to dog this guy, when I was watching a lot of this game, and it was on a lot of the time, PJ Walker reached out to Jacoby Brissett and says, hey, can you give me any help here, any pointers? And Jacoby told PJ very simply, when Amari Cooper is one-on-one, just throw the ball up there. Give him a 50-50 shot, and most likely he's going to come down with it. And my point here is Amari Cooper was amazing on Sunday. Made some great catches, moved the chains, made some catches that he had no rhyme or reason or making. So as much as I like to, he disappears. I have a good friend of ours, Brady Tinker, who does a lot of work for the Dallas Cowboys, talks about Amari Cooper when Brady would go into the locker room. Amari Cooper was the one not there listening to music, not there being boisterous like the rest of the locker room. He was in the corner with another player playing chess in the locker room while everyone else was listening to music and doing whatever they want to do. So he is definitely a different, wired differently. And I just thought he was pretty special on Sunday, Pops.
Oh, he was key. He was strong. And Jerome Ford, regardless, if you got Jerome Ford on your fantasy team, you have a blessing because Jerome Ford can get you 90 yards a game. He can get you minimum. He can get you at least 90 because he's gonna bust a big one. Every game he's gonna bust a big one because Jerome Ford is a speedy back, and what they wanted to do, they wanted to make it thunder and lightning. So Kareem Hunt had to get in shape. A lot of people just think a running back can come right off the couch and just be the man. But we know Kareem Hunt had to get in shape. He's eating that extra ice cream, them extra burgers. He didn't have any training camp or anything like that. It takes about 4 weeks to get back into true NFL shape. And it seems like he's back. He's getting back into shape as well, too. So we'll see how it goes. But let's jump into this Lions and Ravens game. This is probably the game of the morning. No, it's not probably. It is the game of the morning, man. Because like I said yesterday when I did the Lions review for the Aftermath, Jeff, and I'll send it to you. The Lions are America's team. I'm sorry, Dallas Cowboys fans, but you've been holding that title long enough, and let's keep it real. Detroit Lions right now are America's team because they really are what the face of America is right now. You know what I mean? As a city. So pretty much this is a team that everybody's kind of been waiting on for a long time to be a factor again. And you love to see a team like Detroit be good because this brings back a great fan base. You know what I mean? It makes a great fan base relevant with the top team because they're always around. But, you love to see teams like the Lions, teams like the Browns, teams like the Bears all have success because the NFL is better. Same thing with the Dolphins because the NFL is a lot better it's a lot better of a product because these teams are traditional teams, established teams that we've had in the NFL for some time, and they are TV teams. The Lions have been able to monopolize the Thanksgiving Day. So, that they must mean something to somebody. You feel what I'm saying? So pretty much you got a Lions team that's just playing the every facet of the game the correct way. And I just truly do think that they're walking into this game as the most confident they probably have been in the last 30 years because they know that they have a keen opportunity to win this game. The Ravens, on the other hand, they have much to be desired. I'm sorry. The Ravens, you got a good win over the Titans. The Titans didn't even have a quarterback over there in England. And there still were moments where you could have lost the game. And the Ravens are just too cocky for me, Jeff. Like they're too stuck on themselves. And they don't understand this is not 2012 anymore. This is not Ray Lewis is not walking through that door, bruh. Sorry, your defense is not what it was. You guys aren't really that good of a defense, in my opinion. It's just that you figure out ways to shut down simple things. But with the team like the Lions that have a lot of options, they got a lot of options. They are a danger. And let's keep it real. Jared Goff is an MVP candidate. Well, at least in my eyes, okay? He's steering this whole boat. And literally he gets everybody involved. And the only other quarterback you can really say that gets everybody involved, well, two other quarterbacks, is Tua and Mahomes. That get everybody that can catch a ball involved, they'll have them involved in the situation. Same thing goes for Goff. Goff went to a Super Bowl. Mahomes has been to a Super Bowl. Tua looks like he's about to probably go to the Super Bowl this year. When you're a guy that spreads the wealth, you're a guy that everybody wants to play with. Dan Campbell has done his job. And you know what? We'll keep it real right here. The next coming of Howie Long was drafted by the Detroit Lions. Aiden Hutchinson is a special player because he really makes the whole defense that much better. Then you bring Brian Branch to quarterback your back end. The Lions have put themselves in position with a team that can take themselves all the way to Vegas this year, Jeff. I'm telling you. I'm telling you right now. And that bus is about to get really, really packed with bandwagon fans. I'm telling you right now. And the Detroit Lions, if they win this week, you're going to have to say they're probably the best team in the NFL. Okay? And I think right now, going into this game, I'm not a Detroit Lions fan, so don't think I'm the president of their fan club. But I truly do think going into this game, they are the best team in the NFL right now. Best team in the NFC, hands down. Because why, Jeff? They take every damn game seriously. Unlike the Eagles, unlike the who else is the Niners? Because they didn't. I don't think the Niners took the Browns as seriously as they should have. They came out trying to punch people in the mouth. Dude, you're not playing against the Rams. You in Cleveland, bro. You can have a whole stands jump on your ass doing all that funny stuff. You know what I mean? We're not in LA at SoFi. So, at the end of the day, give me the Lions as my dog bet of the week, Jeff, plus 140. Why they give me a 5-1 team at plus 140? What the hell is wrong with Vegas right now? Why are you giving me this charity? I'll go ahead and take it. I'll take the bait, brother. I'll take it. What are you on? Who do you like?
Well, I flipped the switch. I said, oh, no. Meaning, my numbers here was a pick 'em. Literally, Ravens -0.5 with a 42. It's now Ravens -3 with a 42.5 at Circa in Las Vegas. Listen, I've been talking about these Lions here. Go into Kansas City, opening game, win 21-20. Go to Lambeau Field a couple Thursdays later, destroy the Packers. And then what did they do this past Sunday? They went into Tampa. They played a little grab butt for a little while, and the defense dominated, and they took care of business. Looking at this game, of course, I would not be shocked if the Lions won, and I love where your eye is here. Lamar and company are one of these. You want to rip them because they only show you the passes that he airmails or misses by a mile. They're not showing you the 4, 5, 6 drops every game by Andrews, by Zay Flowers. Their defense is playing great. Lamar is playing real good football. Real good football. It's home game. I think this is going to be the best game, as you said, at 1 o'clock. I just took the money line. I usually don't go down this road. I can't leave any points on the line because, this could be the 23-21 game. This could be, one of those 21-20 Ravens lead and then, Tucker from 50 to end the game. So just Ravens win, move on, and that will put both teams at the same record. But this is going to be an instant classic. And as you said, Lions win this game. That will be at Kansas City, at Baltimore. That will be at Lambeau Field, at Tampa. I don't care what the 49ers have for injuries. I don't care what Dallas or Philly's doing. They go to number 1 in the NFC, hands down.
And that's why I got them there. And that's why I think they're the best team in the NFC, man, because they're road warriors, dude. They're 3-0 on the road. That's the thing. 3-0 on the road. And when you look at who they played on the road, it wasn't like they played against the slouches. They played against a great Chiefs team, the defending world champions. They go into Lambeau, hostile territory, a place they've probably won 4 times in the last 50 years. They absolutely dog walk the Packers. Then they go to Tampa Bay with this upstart situation, the leaders of the NFC South, and they absolutely crush those boys. So at some point, are we getting the memo? Are we understanding the Lions are that good of a team? And I know they want to take away from the Lions because they keep thinking about what you was. It's about what you are now. It's not about what you was 5 years ago. It's about what you are today. And that's where we got to get out of that mentality in the NFL. Because let's keep it real. Before Mahomes and Reed got there, the Chiefs were one of the lousiest teams in the NFL for a decade. They were winning 2 games a season at one stretch. Okay, so and they went through 5 head coaches. So come on, let's not play these games. Let's not have memories on stuff when we feel like it. You know what I mean? Let's appreciate what teams are doing for us today, not what happened last year. That's why everybody got to stop living off of what happened last year. And even what happened last week, it's always a week-to-week league. And this team is playing so consistent right now that there's no way you cannot see what they're doing and seeing great things. It's that simple. You know what I mean? So, hey, it is what it is. All right, so we move forward. We got our first early game, our first late game, I'm sorry. And we can be quick with this one because there's not much to talk about here. You got a Cardinals team. They've never been playing for the playoffs this year. Let's keep it real. And then you have this Seattle team that comes in here 3-3. Are they 3-3? Yeah, they're 3-3. And you know what? This team, to me, they're not good. I'm sorry. Geno Smith is not the answer. Geno Smith, another one, Jeff, 300 yards throwing, you lose. And you supply me with 13 points? Just look at how many yards these guys threw for, and literally in every loss, none of them got to 20 points. How do you throw for 300 yards and you don't supply your team with 20 points? Like 30 years ago, if you threw for 300 yards, there's no way you didn't score 30 points that day. Like, or at least 28. What type of NFL are we in now? You know, literally, we're just doing stats. You know, literally, you're a stat monster, but you still didn't supply me any points. Geno Smith is a disservice to those great receivers. Seattle, to me, has the best wide receiver core in the league, pound for pound. You got JSN, you got Lockett, you got DK Metcalf. Then you got two stellar running backs in the backfield. The offensive line, yep, that is the biggest issue for this team. But at the end of the day, Geno Smith, you're playing like a backup. You know, you're playing like a guy that's waiting for the starter to take their job back, in my opinion. And I truly do think if Pete Carroll wants to make the playoffs, because I don't see them as a playoff team. I see them as a 8-9, 9-8 team this season. And if they truly want to make the playoffs and make a move into the playoffs, they got to go with Drew Lock. They got to go get Drew Lock. Like, seriously, just let the young kid play because he was starting in Denver. Okay, and Denver was still kind of in the playoff mix with him when he was starting at quarterback. You remember that, Jeff? And then you're going to tell me Geno Smith is better? Geno Smith is a backup. Let him be a backup. I know that he had a great story last year. He took advantage of having a great DK Metcalf and Lockett, but that doesn't warrant you to give him any money. That doesn't warrant you to say that he's a starting quarterback in this league because he had 4 good games. No, you go get yourself a quarterback. And I'm glad that they didn't go crazy and just draft anybody. But they should have went and got Jake Haener, Jeff. Jake Haener, who plays for the Saints now, who's eventually going to be the starting quarterback by the time Dennis Allen realizes that if he wants to keep his job, he's going to have to bench Derek Carr. So with that, I already said I was going to be quick. Cardinals, the scrappiest team in the NFL. I know that they didn't cover last week, but that's okay. This team is still the best first half team in the NFL. I think them being the best first half team in the NFL warrants me to go ahead and take them this week to cover in this game. And you know what, Jeff? I'm going to keep it real with you. Just because I don't trust Geno Smith, the Cardinals could actually win this game because that's something that they do like to do every time they go to Seattle. So what are your thoughts?
Excuse me. You know, the Geno Smith thought process very simply is Pete and the Seahawks took a big gamble, and you know, Russ sent packing, and in comes Geno Smith. And not only Seattle last year preseason was the team picked. Their under-over was 4.5. That's how bad they were expected. Not only did they prove us wrong, they did go to the playoffs. I remember watching the first game opening day at home. They had a 13-10 lead at halftime against the Rams, and then the Rams outscored them like 24-0 in the second half, whatever the number was. My point is they've been a Jekyll and Hyde team, and I think Pete forgets how to win or how he used to win. That's running the game. You got a healthy Kenneth Walker. You got a healthy Charbonnet. Yes, you have 3 strong wide receivers on the outside. You have a pretty decent tight end with Noah Fant as well. And the Legion of Boom is kind of sort of back there, but you got it caught up with, whatever Joe does, Gino can do better. I will tell you this: I'm still alive in the survivor picks. Unfortunately, the whole world and maybe myself will be on Seattle this week. Just beating up on an Arizona team that's pesky. They come, they play hard. And so I took the Cardinals. We bought the hook. We got the Cards +8. I haven't put my pick in yet. I'm trying to get cute and clever to say, can I, if I do know that Lawrence is out, do I have enough cojones to take the Saints on Thursday and then root for the Cardinals? But we'll see, because I even looked at next week. These games are getting so tough, Pops. I mean, 1 in pick'ems and 2-point favorites. So give me the Cards +8, and we'll figure this one out.
And funny thing was, I got my numbers out late, but all my numbers pretty much matched up with this week's numbers. But there were some spots where I was like, we're doing a bit too much. I had one where I went from it. They had another team as a 2.5-point favorite, but I put the other team as a 2.5-point favorite for that one. And that's just like, because I know that you guys, I kind of, the way I set my odds up is the way I feel like it will be 5 minutes before we get the kickoff. Because I just know how these numbers are going to work. And, that's just sometimes when I see a team that should be the favorite, but they make the other team the favorite, that's always your best dog right there. That's always your best dog right there. Because pretty much they don't believe in this team, or they might not be looking at it the same way that you're looking at it. But we know it's always about getting that money, man. It's always about getting that money. So we're going to skip out on the commercials because I don't have Jeff for too much more time. He has another show he has to do in about 20 minutes. So we are going to kind of speed this thing up a little bit. We got the Steelers and the Rams 3-2. We got the Rams 3-3. We got the Rams coming in as a -3 over under 43. You know what? This Rams team is irritating, Jeff. Let's keep it real. They are a team that really doesn't know who they are. They have no identity right now. They are either a great offensive team one week or they are a basic offensive team one week. They're either a great defensive team one week or they're a bad defensive team one week. And I think that pretty much with them it's a half per half situation with them. They seem not to be able to put two good halves together. Like they'll have a great first half and a terrible second half, a terrible first half and a great second half. But one thing about the Rams is this. They've been in every single game they played in this year. They haven't been beat by anybody by double digits, and they've had 2 double-digit wins out the 3 wins that they have this year. That's something that you look at and you say to yourself, this team is still relevant into the race of things, and they're still a team that can say that they're chasing a playoff spot. Let's keep it real. The Rams are just really middling. They are the definition of middling at this point. They got the stars to make them a better team, but they got a lot of young players as well, too, that's holding up the process. And they got a coach that doesn't really trust himself as much as he should. Even though he's been in 2 Super Bowls, he's still overthinking this thing a little bit. You know what I mean? So when you look at the way this game sets up, you look at it and you say, well, the Steelers, their offense is horrible. They just terrible. So Rams easy. No, it's not going to be easy for the Rams because the Steelers have TJ Watt. And I would say this, if anybody's just to win an MVP award or just you say the most valuable player, the guy that makes the most impact on his team, other than a guy named Tyreek Hill, TJ Watt makes the biggest impact on his franchise, period. And I think he would be able to do that on any team in the NFL at this point. So that's where I say the Steelers still are a team that you have to take seriously in this game because TJ Watt and that defense being able to keep these guys in a game like this one against a Rams team that just does not like physicality. The Rams had real issues with the Cardinals front 7. And I've been telling people all year long, the Cardinals got one of the sneakiest front 7s in the NFL, but they're not going to get highlighted because you're not highlighting the Cardinals to be a winning team. You're highlighting the Cardinals to be a bad team this year. That's why they're not getting the spotlight on their players the way that other teams would. But when it comes down to this, I just feel like TJ Watt is the best player on the field, and that's going to make the difference in this game right here. The Steelers are going to win this game, but I'm going to take them with the cover, though. Plus 3.5 is just much smarter to me at this point. But by Sunday, they'll probably wind up being on my dog day pick 4.
The Rams are one of these teams that, again, I had as a dumpster fire, and I've kind of fallen in love with them. With the Cooper Cup injury, it allowed Puka and Tutu to shine. It allowed the defense with Aaron Donald to shine. Yeah, they've had some brain farts, and Stafford's not 100%, but I just like the demeanor of this team. And now at 500, in comes the Steeler team again, coming off a bye. Which direction does Tomlin and the Steelers go? Which direction does Pickett go as well, which is a key there. My actual true numbers, Pops, let me get my eyes down here. Was a 3 with a 42, now 3 with a 43.5, and even some 44s. So the Vegas is telling me 24-20. I bought the hook. I took the Steelers +4. I will be rooting for the Steelers. I'll be rooting for some Pickett to Pickens. My eyes will be on the backfield there. Do they allow Jalen Warren now to emerge as the lead back, or maybe get more of a 60-40 carry there over Najee Harris? And secondly, look for Pat Freiermuth, who should be ready now, coming off a concussion, to add to this team as well. So I think the Steelers will be live, but again, the key to their success is going to be simple. You got to keep Aaron Donald out of the backfield and Kenny Pickett upright.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you know what? It's just that, I know they like Kenny Pickett, but you know what? Sometimes I'll be like, let's get that Mitch Trubisky in the game. He was the second pick in the draft for a reason. And you know what? I still think that was the biggest disservice the Chicago Bears ever did. How does a guy sit up there and have 3 straight games of going over 400 yards? You've never had a quarterback do that ever in your life. And then you still couldn't wait to cut the guy at the end of the year, even though he led you to the playoffs the same stretch as well, too. It's just Bears. You can't tell me anything about knowing the quarterback position, just period, point blank. And now you're trying to ruin another quarterback's career after it's almost like the kid in Toy Story when he throws Woody away. Like, I don't want to play with you anymore. That's the Chicago Bears fan base right there, and the GM. Like, literally, can you just develop a damn quarterback and just live with it? Come on. I got a great story for all NFL fans. Pittsburgh Steelers were one of the worst teams to ever exist before 1970. They drafted Terry Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw was a trash quarterback the first 3 years he was in the league. But they held steady. Built the team up, made a great defense, brought him some weapons. Next thing you know, they win 4 Super Bowls in a decade. That's why we need to start having patience again in the NFL. If you know a guy can be good, just shut up and let them build and progress into being great players. You know what I mean? You can't just keep running to the well, because every college quarterback is not ready for the NFL. It's just you're going to lie to yourself and tell yourself that, but only 3 of them are going to be really good when they get here. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. So, it's really rare to find a great quarterback out of college. It truly is. They've lied to us over the years. That's why. Fantasy gives a false perception of truly who the player is. You know what I mean? It is what it is at the end of the day. But I know we're moving. Let's talk Packers, Broncos. And it's funny, we got 2 Super Bowls, 2 old Super Bowls this week. We had Steelers, Rams was a great Super Bowl. And Packers, Broncos was a great Super Bowl as well, too. So, 2 teams that played each other in the Super Bowl this week. That's a lot of fun. Always a lot of fun. So pretty much with this, I'm going to be real quick here. This is a 50-50 game, Jeff. You can take any side and you'll be good. You'll be okay. You'll be fine. The Green Bay Packers, they're struggling a little bit, but their quarterback is figuring it out by the week. But you know what? They should have beat the Raiders. That was a must-win situation for that team to give you the confidence on who the Packers can truly be. The Broncos have just had the shit end of the stick. Let's just keep it real, okay? They haven't been good, but You know what? This team is not going to go 0-4 at home, Jeff. I'm sorry. I'm taking the Broncos to win this game with the plus 105. I can't believe this team has lost 3 in a row at home to start the year off anyway, but still, I think that they're not going to lose 4 in a row in Denver. Sorry, just not happening at Mile High. I'm taking them with the plus 105. Jeff, who you with?
My numbers are 2 with a 44.5. Right now, it's circled down to 1 with a 44.5. I think a lot of people are thinking the same thing you're thinking. Again, a real tough loss for the Packers in Vegas. Had a couple extra days to get ready. Jordan Love, will Aaron Jones be ready? A.J. Dillon, obviously. Christian Watson. The emergence of Jaden Reed, Romeo Dubs. It's going to be whose defense prevails. Listen, this Denver team is as bad as the Patriots right now. In Denver, it will be last man standing with Sean Payton. It will end up being Russell Wilson's fault, which is not all his fault. We do know that. Fire sale coming. Jerry Jeudy available. Cortland Sutton available. Flip a coin here. I took Jordan Love and the Packers. Maybe another loss, and maybe they'll cut Russ and throw him on the bench, and maybe they'll bring Peyton Manning back or John Elway back or whoever back, Craig Morton maybe even. But it's been a bad year for Sean Payton. It's been even a worse year for Bill Belichick. It does happen to the great coaches. But give me the Packers. Just win, baby. I took them minus the 125.
All right. Okay, so we move forward, and this is the game. So it's the game of the week, and it's the Chargers and the Chiefs. This has became now the de facto rivalry in the AFC West. This has became the game that everybody looks forward to each year now, because you got Mahomes versus Justin Herbert. And you know what? Y'all ain't going to keep bad about my quarterback. Hey, Justin Herbert's still an MVP candidate type quarterback. You know what? And at the end of the day, he can't control the play calling with those two, with Dumber and Dumber on the sideline over there. So it is what it is at the end of the day. But I love the fact that everybody thinks he's not a clutch quarterback. He's not a this, he's not a that. But he's already proven all these things that they said he wasn't. So it's okay. It's okay. Just keep, talking. And then in 2 more years, when he gets a good coach, a good offensive coordinator, they'll all be on him just like how they were on Elway. This is Elway 2.0. I don't care. Elway had to go through the same bullshit as well, too, with Dan Reeves and all those guys. So, it is what it is. He hasn't found his Shanahan yet, but when he gets his Shanahan, it's a wrap. And you know this. You know that. And pretty much, you got a team that needs more from their rookies. You know what I mean? Quentin Johnston's not doing anything, but it's okay, because that's why they didn't draft any rookie wide receivers in the top 10, because none of them were top 10 grades in reality. None of them have done that great except for Zay Flowers. And Zay Flowers is a exceptional guy because he's another one that if this is me when I'm drafting, Jeff, if I'm a GM, if I see a running back, if I see a wide receiver that's been really good in a running system, that's my guy, because he is more suited for the NFL than a guy that's in a 5 wide receiver set every damn time he steps on the field. That's imaginary football. But the other kid is playing Sunday football. So you get my drift? Those players wind up being better players because they know how to be all around on the offense. And that's exactly what Zay Flowers is doing right now for the Ravens. So, he winds up really being the best catch of them all. Jordan Addison is going to probably do a little bit more, but Quentin Johnston was supposed to be pretty much replacing Mike Williams or replacing Keenan Allen, and he came nowhere near that. And Josh Palmer has literally just said, Ricky, you're sitting your ass on the bench. You're not taking my spot either. So Quentin Johnston should be a little bit more used in this game, but I need Darius Davis in this game, Jeff. I need them to start taking advantage of Darius Davis, trying to do the Tyreek Hill implement, all that good stuff. But I'm going to do this here, Jeff. I'm going to go ahead and take the Chargers here because the Chargers have won the last 3 out of 4 times in Kansas City. They should have won last year on Thursday Night Football, but we know that, they had to make sure that it was good TV for your boy Patrick as usual, so that's why, sometimes things happen. So pretty much we have ourselves the plus 200 on the Chargers today, and that's where I'm going with that one.
My number here was 6 with where are we here? With a 50 down to 5.5 with a 48.5 or 48 at South Point. Let's be realistic. Vegas is not stupid. They know everyone saw the Charger game last night, and you could see right away in the first quarter after the touchdown that they have a hard time with speed and a front line and as much pressure that Dallas can put on. Hence why Quentin Johnson is not getting anything, because he doesn't have time. Keenan Allen scored early, but again, those routes take longer. That's why Joshua Palmer is now more effective. If this line opened up at 3.5 or 4, Vegas is telling me very simply, Pops, we want some Chiefs money, but they opened it at 6 for a reason. They want some Chargers money. They're going to get Chargers money. This line might drop to 5. I don't think it will go to 4.5. I like the Chargers. We bought the hook plus 6. I would not be shocked. Actually, I kind of sort of think the Chargers will find a way to win this game and get back. It's a must win for the Chargers. If Kansas City takes care of business, if Chris Jones has a big game, the Chargers are, dead in the water. So give me the plus 6. I bought the hook here. I like where your eyes are. Sprinkle a little beer and pizza money on the plus 200 as well. I think it's going to be a hell of a game, Pops.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into and see, man. We ain't got enough time, but we going to have to speed through it. But this is the game right here. Dolphins, Eagles. This is a possible Super Bowl preview, but I don't think the Eagles are a Super Bowl team yet. But I'm going to keep it real with you. The Dolphins are. The Dolphins look like a Super Bowl team at this point because they just can't do no wrong. You know what I mean? And, the way that they're running this offense right now in Miami is just special, dude. It's just really, really special the way that they set this thing up. Tua is just the MVP of the NFL first 6 weeks of the year. You know that. Tyreek Hill, really, I would really say he's really the MVP, but we know it's a quarterback's award. But all in all, nobody who's making that big of an impact on a team other than, I would say, T.J. Watt and Aiden Hutchinson on the defensive side. But when it comes to offensive players, it has to be Tyreek Hill. He's even better than most. He's even topping out quarterbacks. Because, come on, I keep giving you the stat, Jeff. We got quarterbacks scoring 13 points, throwing for 353 yards. So how are they impacting the team? They're actually taking away from the team. But a guy like Tyreek Hill, who's averaging 163 receiving yards a game, literally is putting the team on his back. And you know what? If he has a big game come Sunday, then you know what? It's going to be 6-1 for the Dolphins. And you know what? At the end of the day, they are setting this up for you to take the Dolphins, in my opinion, because the Eagles being this low of a favorite, minus 125, is a gift, it seems like. But it feels like a trap as well, too, the way that they played last week and the way that, Hurts has kind of been approaching the games as of lately. I can't trust that, brother. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Dolphins with the plus 105 for the Sunday Night Football upset. They got to let a road team win this week. You know that, Jeff. Come on, you know how it goes. Come on, Jeff. Everybody got to get this thing the correct way. You know what I mean? If it's an under, then under home team, then next week over road team wins.
Well, like the Lions game, my true number was only Eagles minus a hook with a 51.5. It is now 2-52 at DraftKings, 2-52.5 at South Point, and 1.5 52 at the Circa in Vegas. Dolphins had one true test this year, and they failed, and that was at Buffalo. We've seen some chinks in the armor in Philly. Their focus, their fans obviously will be on the Phillies and the NLCS. Now you got the late game, which is going to be an amazing game. 52-28. Yeah, first one to 27 to 28 should win this. I could see a shootout at the OK Corral, or I could see Philly just playing keep away in what they do in the second half. Get Swift established. Just take the air out of the ball because their defense is allowing quarterbacks at almost a 90% clip, 90% QB rating. So I think not Philly wasn't looking past the Jets, but they got bored or whatever. Look for all systems go on the Eagles here today and on Sunday, actually. We took the money line. Just win, baby. Going to be a fun game for all you fantasy guys. Put all your stars in. Overdue for a Jalen Waddle breakout game. Way overdue for a Devontae Smith breakout game. Keep an eye on Godard as well. Fun game. Eagles win at the buzzer, Pops.
Man, you know what? And I just can't wait, man. It's going to be awesome. And we know Collinsworth is just going to be dribbling. Who's he going to be dribbling over? Probably Tua. Yeah. He'll probably be all over Tua in that one. And then, oh, shucks, all that goofy stuff. All right, final game, 49ers, Vikings. This one is toughy. Vikings 1-5. Vikings are in reverse of what they were last year, Jeff. Remember, they were winning all their games late. Now this year they're losing all their games late again. They only had one really bad game this season. And you know what? They're 2-4. I'm sorry, y'all, 2-4. So pretty much let me flip that, but because they're 2-4, but they've been so bad that you don't care what they are because they're not going to make the playoffs this year. So pretty much they're a 2-4 team right now, and you know what? This game really does call for the game to be much better than most assume because I feel like there was a lot of things that the Browns actually did go ahead and expose on the 49ers that we already knew was going to get exposed, but do the Vikings got a good enough defense to win the battle at the point of attack? You know what I mean? That's the biggest question that you have going into this game with the Vikings. And it seems like it could be one of those days. Daniel Hunter has been playing good football as of late. And if they can keep the pressure coming, we've seen it that Brock Purdy is going to be pretty average at best. But you know what? Still one of the best game managers in the NFL, if not the best game manager in the NFL. And you know who else was a game manager, Jeff, for a long time of his career? Tom MFing Brady. So let's just understand that he's looking just like Brady did the first 5 years in New England, where strong run game, strong receivers, strong offensive line. You don't have to do much, but just not mess it up. And that's exactly what Purdy has been on. And you know what? I don't care what anybody says. He should have got everybody respect. That game right there, you're not even supposed to be close in that game that happened in Cleveland on Sunday. And literally, it's not even his fault. The kicker missed the kick. It's that simple. Like, at the end of the day, he put them in position to win the game. So, Brock Purdy haters, you still don't have anything on the kid. But I'm not taking them on Monday. I'm taking the Vikings with the +6.5. Jeff, your thoughts?
My numbers was 7 with a 44.5. Now 7 even at 44 at Circa. 6.5 and 44 at South Point. For Minnesota to be successful, they're going to have to score more than 17 points. Like the Eagles, San Fran will come in with a chip on its shoulder with its first loss. Their defense is pretty bad. Now you got to look at the flip side and say, is CMC going to play? Is Debo going to play? And so there's some big question marks there. And Trent Williams as well. So there's 3 big questions there. Money is leaking in on Minnesota right now. I think the sharps are saying, hey, you know what? Maybe a couple of these guys don't play. Let's grab the 7 or 6.5 where we can. We bought the hook. We took the 49ers down to a flat 6. Hope they win by 7 or more. But this one smells a little, Pops. If I had to play early on this game, I might take a shot with the 49ers in the first half. Again, no Jefferson. He'll be out for at least a few more weeks. We'll see. I mean, Cousins is leading the NFL or up there in passing yards. They have the rook there that is a star as well. So, or a star in the making. So we shall see. Give me the 49ers, Pops.
All right. Sounds good, brother. Sounds good. All right, man. So with that, another great show, my brother. Thank you so much for coming on in today. And it's hilarious because we got 6 teams that had a bye this week. So our show could have been a little bit shorter, but as usual, we got to go. We just going. But, we did start a little bit later than I wanted to, but you know what? Jeff had business to handle. It's all good. So no biggie on that part as well either. But all in all, you guys can follow Jeff over at the East Coast Sports Investors on the Twitter, on IG. Just put it on in. You can follow him at all those places right there. You guys know where you guys can catch me at DBICWave _ on the IG. You guys can follow me on Pop DiBiase, and also follow the Prime Wave Media Group page as well too. And you guys can subscribe to this channel as well too, right there on the subscribe button. That's actually on the screen when you guys are watching the replay. So with that, this is the NFL Bet Exchange. I'm your host, Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and none other than the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson himself, the one of ones. And you know what? With that, we are gone, and this is the NFL Bet Exchange.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFL Bet Exchange, where the sharpest bets are